ברוכים הבאים לפודקאסט של שפות-שלי, בית ספר לאנגלית ושפות נוספות. אני אריאל, I'm your host for today, אני אהיה כאן איתכם היום, שמח להיות כאן כמו תמיד. אנחנו היום נדבר על נושא מאוד מאוד רלוונטי, איך בעצם להכין קורות חיים באנגלית. אנחנו כאן בשפות-שלי עובדים עם חברות הייטק, הנדסה, רפואה, המובילים בישראל, גם עם בנקים למיניהם, כמעט נגענו בכל תחום. אנחנו יודעים גם איזה שאלות ישאלו אתכם ברעיון עבודה באנגלית, וגם כמובן מכינים את התלמידים שלנו להכנה לעולם העסקי, אבל שלב אחד לפני זה, זה איך בעצם להגיע אפילו לרעיון. חשוב מאוד שהקורות חיים שלכם יבלוט מתוך הערימה, ולעשות את זה בצורה הכי נכונה והכי מדויקת שיש, במיוחד אם אתם צריכים להכין את הקורות חיים שלכם באנגלית. אז היום אני אשתף אתכם כמה טיפים, סודות מהתחום, גם כמובן איך להכין את זה בצורה שייתן לכם יתרון מאוד מאוד משמעותי, וגם למנוע שגיאות שהרבה ישראלים עושים בהכנת קורות חיים שלכם. רק שתדעו, גם חלק מהשירות שלנו, יש לנו צוות שיכול גם לעזור לכם, בעצם כי בהכנה של הקורות חיים שלכם, ולתת לכם, נקרא לזה מעבר לפודקאסט הזה, גם להעמיק ולעזור לכם עם ההכנה. אנחנו עוזרים להרבה מהתלמידים שלנו בזה, אז תרגישו בנוח גם ליצור אותנו קשר לפרטים נוספים, אם אתם צריכים עזרה מקצועית, גם בהכנה של הקורות חיים שלכם. עכשיו, השוק בארץ וגם בעולם שוק עבודה מתחיל להיות מאוד מאוד תחרותי. הפרק הזה הולך להיות באנגלית, אם משהו גם לא מובן, בבקשה תרשמו לנו גם בוואטסאפ או באימייל, הפרטים מופיעים מתחת לפרק של הפודקאסט, וחשוב מאוד גם שתזינו ותיקחו write notes, take notes about things that you find that are relevant, שמעניין אתכם כאן, אני גם אוסיף לפעמים קצת תרגומים בעברית. אז יאללה, בוא נתחיל. Today's episode is about crafting an effective English resume that can open doors to an exciting career opportunity. For many, the task of creating a resume in a non-native language can be daunting. זה יכול להיות מפחיד אם אתם צריכים ליצור את זה לא בשפת אם שלכם. How do you convey your skills and experience effectively? What are the nuances and expectations of an English resume? מה בעצם מצופה מכם? These are some of the questions we'll be diving into today. Whether you're applying for your first job, seeking a career change, or aiming to land a dream position abroad, having a solid resume is key. It's not just a document, it's your personal brochure, your chance to make a great first impression. זו הזדמנות מאוד מאוד טובה לעשות רושם ראשוני טוב, כמו שאתם יודעים, אין הזדמנות שנייה לעשות רושם ראשוני. In today's globalized world, English is often the lingua franca of the professional sphere. That means for non-native English speakers, mastering the art of an English resume isn't just helpful, it's essential. But don't worry, it's less about perfect grammar and more about clear and effective communication. So I'm here to guide you through every step of the way today, from understanding the basic structure of a resume to expressing your unique experience and skills in a way that resonates with employers in English-speaking countries. We'll cover everything from the importance of simplicity and clarity in language to cultural nuances, גם הבדלי תרבויות, that can make or break your application. And we'll also touch on common mistakes to avoid and tips for showcasing your strengths, even if English isn't your first language. So first things first, what exactly is a resume? In simplest terms, it's a document that summarizes your professional qualifications, including your work experience, education, skills, and accomplishments. It's your professional story told briefly and powerfully. Now, it's important to note the difference between a resume and a CV, also known as a curriculum vitae. In many English-speaking countries, especially in the United States and Canada, a resume is a concise 1 to 2 page summary of your skills and experiences relevant to a specific job. On the other hand, a CV is typically longer and more detailed, and it's often used for academic or research positions. אנחנו עובדים גם עם מוסדות כאלה, אם אתם צריכים הכנה ל-CV, שזה יותר משהו לכיוון אקדמי ומחקר, אז זה כיוון אחר, זה לא הפודקאסט הנכון בשבילכם. אם תרצו שאנחנו נדבר קצת איך להכין CV, שזה בעצם למוסדות אקדמיות, ואם אתם מחפשים תפקיד מחקרי, אז תרשמו לנו גם בוואטסאפ או באימייל, או תשאירו לנו קומנט גם על הפודקאסט הזה, ואנחנו כמובן נכין עוד פרק שמסביר גם איך להכין CV. So now let's break down the most common sections that you'll find in a resume. Firstly, obviously, the contact information. This is straightforward. Include your name, phone number, email address, and LinkedIn profile if you have one. Avoid personal information like your marital status or photograph, which isn't customary in countries like the US and UK. Also provide a summary statement. This is a brief section at the top of your resume that summarizes who you are professionally. It should be a concise statement tailored to the specific job you're applying for, highlighting your key skills and experiences. Also, you need to mention your work experience. Here you list your previous jobs in reverse chronological order, starting from your current or most recent job for each position. Include your job title, the company's name, the dates you worked there, and a few bullet points describing your responsibilities and achievements. Next, list your education. List your most recent educational experiences first. Include the name of the institution, your degree, and the date of graduation. If you are a recent graduate, you might want to put this section before your work experience. Next, make sure that you have your skills section. Label your skills. This section is where you list skills relevant to the job you're applying for. They could be technical skills like proficiency in a specific software, or soft skills like leadership or communication. But in any case, even for the job that you're applying for, make sure that you guys research properly what skills they're looking for. מה מחפשים בדיוק, וכמובן לא להגיש אם אין לכם את ה-skills הנדרשים. Optional sections. Depending on your background, you might want to include additional sections like certifications, languages, volunteer work, or publications. If you're a Hebrew speaker, highlighting your language skills, especially your proficiency in English and other languages, it can be a real asset, especially for international companies. A well-structured resume is vital, but remember, customization is key. You should tailor your resume for each job application, research the company in the job description, and obviously understand what they're looking for and highlight the parts of your experience that align with their needs. תחפשו טוב טוב בדיוק איפה הניסיון שלכם, בדיוק מותאם למה שהם מחפשים, ותדגישו את הדברים האלה כמו שצריך. Okay, so now let's talk about tailoring your resume for English speaking employers. אם אתם רוצים להיכנס לחברה בינלאומית והמעסיק שלכם הוא יהיה דובר אנגלית, כמובן אתם צריכים לדאוג שהרזומה שלכם יהיה הקורות חיים שלהם כמה שיותר מותאם לדובר אנגלית. Let's focus on how to do this. This is crucial for Hebrew speakers as the way you present your information can greatly impact your job application's success. The first step is understanding the importance of language proficiency and clarity. Your resume might be the first impression an employer has of you, so clear and correct English is essential. זה פשוט חיוני. This doesn't mean you need to use complex vocabulary. In fact, simplicity is key. Keep it simple. I want to give you guys an acronym, איזה קיצור דרך שאתם יכולים לזכור את זה. איך לגשת לקורות חיים, האותיות הן KISS, K-I-S-S, שזה אומר, keep it short and simple. Use straightforward language and short sentences. This makes your resume easier to read and understand. אתם בטח שמעתם על הביטוי less is more, במיוחד בקורות חיים שלכם באנגלית, זה בוודאות נכון. Here are some tips on using effective language in your resume. Avoid direct translations. Directly translating phrases from Hebrew can lead to awkward or confusing English. Instead, think about what you want to say and how you would naturally say it in English. אם אתם לא יודעים, תתייעצו עם דובר אנגלית, או כמובן תשתמשו בשירות מקצועי כמו שלנו. Next, use action verbs. Start your bullet points with action verbs like managed, developed, led, and created. This makes your experience sound more dynamic and impactful. Next, be concise. English resumes value brevity, meaning that be direct in your descriptions and don't add unnecessary details. So an English resume, let's say brevity, which is keeping it short, this is the highest value. So be very, very direct. Don't add anything which you don't need to add or you wouldn't add even in the job interview. which also has to be concise and specific. זה גם נכון לגבי רעיונות עבודה, יש לנו פרק אחר לגמרי שמדבר על רעיונות עבודה, וכמובן אנחנו יודעים להכין את התלמידים שלנו בהתאם, מה ישאלו אתכם בדיוק, איך לענות בדרך הכי נכונה, לשמור את זה קצר ומדויק. Now let's talk about describing your experience and education. When discussing your past roles, focus on achievements and responsibilities that align with with the job that you're applying for. If you worked in a role that doesn't directly translate to the English-speaking job market, find universal skills and experiences in that role and highlight those. For your education, if you've studied in a non-English-speaking institution, אם אתם ישראלים, כמובן זה רוב המקרה, consider how to best present your degree. If the degree name doesn't directly translate, find the closest equivalent or provide a brief explanation. Now, let's talk about how cultural differences can also play a big role on how you craft your resume. יש פה עניין גם של הבדלי תרבויות ממדינה למדינה, זה דברים גם שאתם צריכים לחקור מראש אם אתם הולכים לגשת לתפקיד בינלאומי. For example, in many English-speaking countries, it's not common practice to include a photo of yourself or information about your age, marital status, or other personal details. Focus instead on your professional qualifications and what you can bring to the role. Lastly, remember your resume is your personal marketing tool. זה בעצם הכלי האישי שלכם לפרסם את עצמכם ולקדם את עצמכם. Tailoring it for an English-speaking audience isn't about losing your unique background and experiences. It's about presenting them in a way that's familiar and accessible to that specific audience. This might involve translating job titles or responsibilities to the closest English equivalents, or explaining certain qualifications or certifications that might be specific to your country. Now let's talk about showcasing your strengths. Let's focus, now this is basically going to focus on you guys, focus on you. So as a Hebrew speaker, how to showcase your strengths on your resume and how to make yourself really stand out. Remember, your resume is more than a list of your past experiences. It's a chance to highlight what makes you the ideal candidate for the job right out of the gate. One of the key areas to focus on is how to highlight your skills and achievements. This is especially important if you're applying for a position where you can bring unique perspectives or skills as a non-native English speaker or even as a Hebrew speaker, okay? So if you find something that can give you an advantage in actually being a Hebrew speaker, definitely make sure to showcase it correctly to your potential employer. Let's start with how to quantify your achievements. Use numbers and statistics. Wherever possible, quantify your achievements. For example, instead of saying led a team, say led a team of 10 people, or instead of increase sales, try increase sales by 20% over 6 months. This gives a concrete measure of your success. אתם לא תאמינו כמה אנשים מפספסים את זה, גם אפילו בקורות חיים שלכם בעברית, זה טיפ אדיר. תמיד תרשמו מספרים איפה שאתם יכולים, מספרים וסטטיסטיקות. תפרטו בדיוק מה מספר האנשים שיעלתם, בכמה אחוזים המחירות עלו בחברה ב6 חודשים האחרונים שאתם נעלתם מערך מסוים. תהיו מאוד מאוד מדויקים במה שאתם הולכים לציין. Highlight specific projects. If you worked in any notable projects, especially those that had tangible outcomes, mention them. This could be anything from organizing an event to developing a new system at work. Now, let's talk about language skills. As a Hebrew speaker, sometimes your multilingual abilities are a huge asset. Some of you guys כבר יכולים לדבר אנגלית, עובדים על זה. You guys speak Hebrew, that already makes you multilingual. Especially in today's globalized job market, be sure to include your language skills on your resume, state your proficiency level for each language, and any language-related qualifications you might have. אם יש לכם תעודות כלשהם, like TOEFL or IELTS scores, mention them if you got a good score and they're impressive. אנחנו גם מכנים תלמידים למבחני TOEFL, ו-IELTS זה בעצם בחינות אקדמיות לארצות הברית ללימוד. ארצות הברית, they're a little bit tricky, but no big deal. I mean, we got 100% success rate, and we can make sure that you pass those tests, and those are actually qualified certifications for you to mention your level of English. Besides your language skills, consider other strengths that you can bring to the table. Let's say cultural competence. If you experience working in diverse cultural settings. Highlight this, במיוחד בארץ ישראל זה נכון, you guys are already coming from a cultural melting pot. It's valuable skill in today's interconnected world. Adaptability and learning. Being a Hebrew speaker often means you're adaptable and a quick learner. Mention instances where you've successfully adapted to new environments or learned new systems quickly. While focusing on your strengths, it's also important to be honest. Don't exaggerate your skills or experiences. Honesty reflects integrity, and that's a trait all employers value. Remember, each section of your resume is an opportunity to sell yourself. Think about what makes you unique and how your experiences and skills align with the job you're applying for. Now, in this final segment for today, to round this up, I'm going to talk about some common mistakes that Hebrew speakers make or might make when crafting their resumes and how to avoid them. יש כמה טעויות מאוד מאוד נפוצות שישראלים עושים או עלולים לעשות ברגע שהם מכינים את הקורות חיים שלהם באנגלית. This is crucial because small errors can sometimes lead to big misunderstandings. And we want your resume to accurately represent your skills and experiences. One of the most common issues is language errors. Grammar and spelling mistakes can give an impression of carelessness. כאילו לא אכפת לכם מספיק. To avoid this, here are some things that you can and you should do. Use tools for proofreading. יש כל כך הרבה היום, אנחנו יכולים בכיף להמליץ לכם. Utilize spell check and grammar tools. There are several online tools available that can help you catch common errors, and you have to do this. Next one is get feedback. If possible, have a native English speaker review your resume. They can provide valuable feedback on language, use, and clarity. I just want to mention that if you guys obviously can afford it, consider using a professional service like ours to get assistance to craft your CV in the best way possible to bring your skills to the table, let's say at the highest level. Another mistake is overcomplicating your language. Remember, clarity is key. You don't need to use complex vocabulary to impress. Stick to simple, clear language. This is more effective than using big words incorrectly or inappropriately. Next, let's talk about formatting and layout issues. A cluttered or hard to read resume can be off-putting to employers. To ensure your resume is easy to read, make sure you have the following points in mind. 1. Keep it concise. Ideally, your resume should be no longer than 1 to 2 pages. 2. Use bullet points. They help break up text and make it more digestible. And 3. Follow consistent formatting. Use the same font and size throughout and be consistent in how you present information. A common pitfall is misunderstanding cultural differences. For instance, including a photo or personal information like marital status might be standard in some countries, but not in others like the US and the UK. אני כבר דיברתי על זה קצת, אבל בבקשה שימו לב על זה, תרשמו לכם נוט על זה, זה חשוב. Research the norms in the country you're applying to and know the rules and stick to those rules. Finally, avoid underselling yourself. It's important to confidently present your skills and achievements. Don't downplay your experiences or abilities, especially your language skills. Being multilingual is a significant asset in the global job market. To wrap up, crafting a resume as a Hebrew speaker, obviously for you guys has its challenges, but with careful attention to detail and understanding of the cultural context, you can create a compelling and effective resume. So I think I've covered today most of the main points from the basics of resume writing and for specific tips for Hebrew speakers. I hope that this guide and this podcast today helps you feel more confident in your job search. Obviously, if you guys need any help, please get in touch. תיצרו איתנו קשר. המספר שלנו 053-550-1976. אנחנו זמינים גם בוואטסאפ. מוזמנים לזרוק לנו וואטסאפ, לדבר איתי ישירות שמי אריאל, או לשלוח לנו גם אימייל ל-info@שפות-שלי.co.il. אם יש לכם שאלות, אנחנו כאן ותמיד נשמח לעזור. Thank you guys for joining me today. אני כמובן אראה אתכם שוב שבוע הבא. תהיו חזקים עם המצב הנוכחי. אנחנו בסופו של דבר, אנחנו ננצח. תעבדו על עצמכם. Keep learning, keep pushing forward and get stronger. And obviously after the war will pass and then you'll be faced with challenges, whether it is economic challenges, as a country, but you can always work to give yourself that additional edge and push yourself forward. So use this time to keep growing. Thank you for listening, and I will see you guys again next week. Bye-bye.